What's going on, everyone? So the San Antonio Spurs gave De'Aaron Fox the full max contract. And leading into that, as well as now post them actually giving him that contract, a lot of questions about, did the Spurs make a mistake? Did they overpay De'Aaron Fox? And for being honest, yes, but I felt and still feel like it was a necessity, right? De'Aaron Fox, is he worth a max? No, not under the new CBA. Now, pre-CBA, probably, most likely, he would get that pretty much anywhere because, teams understand you got to go into the tax, you got to do whatever, blah, 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 right? But with the new CBA and the restrictions and the hard restrictions, especially when you're starting to get into the first, second apron, right? Those kind of become these hard locks to where teams are a little more reluctant now. Teams don't want to give guys the contracts that they once did, right? And De'Aaron Fox is a guy that, again, what has he done? That's the problem, right? Like, he hasn't shown that he can lead a team even deep into a playoff run, not even a championship team. There's only a few guys that really can be the guy to lead you to a championship, right? SGA is the newest to that addition, but it's Giannis and Jokic and Steph and KD and LeBron, right? It's like, those are the guys, right? Kawhi Leonard before all the injuries. Like, there's a handful of guys in the league that have been able to prove that, hey, I'm your best player. I can lead you to an NBA championship. De'Aaron Fox, his best season was a first round exit loss to the Golden State Warriors. Outside of that, it was him missing the playoffs for years, right? And him contributing to winning. Then he gets traded to the San Antonio Spurs, and the Spurs gave up nothing that would impact the roster in a way to where it's like, okay, well, and all of a sudden, the Spurs get worse. Now, I don't think that that's entirely on De'Aaron Fox. I don't think that we should necessarily hold that against him, but it is something to kind of keep an eye on, right? Because it's like, in Sacramento, he didn't contribute to winning. What is that going to translate to with the San Antonio Spurs? Is he going to be able to be a guy that can be one of your top players and lead you? Right? Now, you could argue, okay, well, in Sacramento, he was the guy. It was his franchise. Where in the Spurs, it's Wemby, so De'Aaron Fox is going to be the number 2 guy. But Sabonis is like a near triple-double guy, top, 5 center in all of the NBA, right? Putting up insane stats every night. Now, obviously, Wemby gives you the better defense, but, you look at kind of the De'Aaron Fox situation in Sacramento as well as in the Spurs. De'Aaron Fox is going to be the one with the ball in his hands. De'Aaron Fox is the one that's going to be initiating the offense. De'Aaron Fox is going to be the one that's going to get to dictate and decide, how many shots he's going to take and others. So, again, he's going to be high. Usage is probably going to be around the same, if not as maybe more, because they don't have the playmaking center that Sabonis is, right? Like, Wemby isn't Sabonis as far as being able to wheel and deal, right? So, going to be kind of interesting to see how that plays out. The problem is that you have Dylan Harper and you have Stephon Castle and you have these guys that you're going to have to start paying, and it's going to come pretty quick. And a lot of these guys are going to start getting paid in the middle of De'Aaron Fox's contract. Now, if they would have signed him to a max, but on a 3-year deal with a team option or something to where it's like, hey, Castle emerged and evolved and we got to pay Dylan Harper, then yeah, sure, okay, that makes sense. But to give him the full max, full years, no stipulations, no nothing, it becomes a bit of a problem. Because if you need to get out from under him, you might not be able to. Because you need to find a team that, A, needs a point guard, which most teams have or are developing that guy. B, you need a team that's willing to give you assets and players and stuff that make sense, because you don't want to just take on bad contracts. And C, you need to find somebody that's willing to take on his 50+ million when that time comes. There's also the questions of, does De'Aaron Fox end up stunning Dylan Harper's growth? Right? Because Dylan Harper, he's supposed to be the guy, he's supposed to be the guard, he's supposed to be the guy that has the ball in his hands and making all the decisions. Well, that's not happening anytime soon. De'Aaron Fox is going to be that guy. He's going to be limited in that role, Dylan Harper, that is, right? And then you have Stephon Castle, who you were molding and shaping to be the guard. So it's like, there's just a lot of question marks about that. Now, I do think at some point they will be able to trade him, but is it a trade that makes sense for the Spurs at the time when that comes? comes? Or do the Spurs just kind of let his money fall off and then pay guys? But again, like, there is going to be a point where you might have 3-4 guys on full max contracts. Now, look, if it works and you're winning and you're one of the best teams, then sure, it's worth it. It's fine. We don't know yet. I don't know if it's entirely fair to say, like, that was foolish. Like, you shouldn't have done it. Like, I don't know if it's entirely fair to put that label on it. But just based on the Spurs situation, as well as the new CBA, I get it and understand it, and I do feel that way, but I want to be fair and give an opportunity, right? And I also think context is important, right? So De'Aaron Fox essentially forced and pushed his way to the Spurs. Not only did he force and push his way to the Spurs, right? He also, in doing so, helped the Spurs get him for pennies on the dollar, right? He comes here. Yes, you didn't know you were going to draft Dylan Harper, and yes, you didn't know all that. Like, but are you really going to do De'Aaron Fox dirty by not giving him the max or not getting him the full years or whatever, or kind of forcing his hand or forcing his way out or something? It's not a good look. It's not a good perception for, future potential. Right? You want to kind of make it look, hey, Chris Paul, when he was here, we got De'Aaron Fox. We probably should have benched Chris Paul, but we wanted to do right by him, right? We promised that he would start the whole season, and we did right. We did what we were supposed to do. We lived up to our promise. We lived up to our word, right? De'Aaron Fox, he comes to Spurs. Time for him to get paid, right? All this talk about him taking less or giving him fewer years or blah 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 blah. We did right. We did right by him. We kept our word. He did right by us. We did right by him. Right? It's the perception. And I just think, given the situation the Spurs win, they had to give it to him. I just hope that it's not something that ends up biting them in the behind later on down the road. I don't think it's anything that's I don't think it's gonna bother or affect or anything right now in the short term. And the next year, maybe 2. I don't think it'll be a problem. I think you'll be fine this next year or 2. Plus, you almost have to see, right? It's almost like it's unfortunate that it came in the middle of the season and then the contract is immediate. Like, now you have to give them the extension immediately, right? Where it's like, it would have been nice to have a year or 2 leading into that extension, to where it's like, okay, now we can kind of gauge it and see it, because you're kind of going off of, a limited sample size, whatever it was, 26 games or whatever, right? Like, going on a limited sample size to try to distinguish whether it's worth it or not. And it's hard to really know. So you almost have to see how it works and how it looks and how this shapes up. And again, Dylan Harper, he could be, the next SGA, right? And one of the top players in all of basketball. He also could end up just being a Lance Stevenson, right? Like, you don't know. There's a lot of guys that look like for sure fire. Like, this guy's going to be somebody. Just didn't work out. So kind of see how this all plays out. But anyways, always, this is a discussion, pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Else but not, if you enjoy these types of videos, I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.